call the City of St. Charles Committee of the Whole meeting to order. It's 7:40 on Wednesday, the May 4th. Could you call the roll, please?
Bungard.
Here.
Munns. Here. Spellman.
Here.
Bertrilla.
Here.
Warble.
Here.
Bessner.
Here.
Weber.
Here.
Volkaitis.
Here.
Polk.
Here. All right, so we have two public comment periods. The first one, item 3, is agenda related. This is a comment period, should be limited to comments related to items on the agenda. Would anyone like to speak? Please just say your name.
There's a blinding light here. Jan Barbeau. I live on Sedgwick Circle, the Manor Homes and the Timbers, and my request is regarding that Ninth Street project, whatever it's called. And what I'm asking for is, I was at the last meeting and they showed some renderings, and I'm having a very hard time visualizing the height, especially with the railroad tracks being there. So what I'm asking for is the Planning Commission to require the developer to demonstrate the height. And I'm going to read. According to Zoning Trilogy, to illustrate the height and bulk of a structure, at the request of the Planning Commission, the developer shall be required to float balloons to the height of the corners and the peaks of the proposed buildings during the review process. The balloon shall be aloft for a period sufficient for viewing. So that's my request. So thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other public comments?
Hi, I actually also have a comment regarding that.
Please just state your name, please.
Oh, I'm Julie Anderson. I'm a homeowner on 6th Street, right next to 6th and State. So the 9th Street Commons is going to be like right next to me. And I just feel like there's so many houses that they're putting into such a small area. And to me, it would make more sense, since it's not really creating affordable housing anyway, is why not have larger homes or bigger yards so that there could be more green space instead of cramming as many buildings in. It's going to create a lot of congestion. We don't have like an outlet to 31, and everybody's going to be coming down like 6th Street and 5th and 4th, and then I imagine on the other side, I know there was the outlet, because I was here at the last meeting, and so I know they're working on where to put the outlet road over there because of the fire safety, but my concern is actually more on 6th Street, obviously. So I just wanted to offer that idea. Maybe a housing complex is nice, but maybe not so many homes, maybe larger homes that would fit into the neighborhood better, since a lot of the houses are historic and there are a lot of trees and older homes. Thanks.
Thank you. Any other comments? All right. We'll move forward to item 4, the consent agenda. I'll entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda.
So moved.
Second. Moved by Munn, seconded by Folks. Can I get a roll call, please?
Bungard.
Yes.
Munns.
Yes.
Spellman.
Yes.
Warble.
Yes.
Bessner.
Yes.
Weber.
Yes.
Volkaitis.
Yes.
Polk.
Yes. All right, that passes. Moving on to item 5, finance. Let's see, a recommendation to approve a resolution authorizing the mayor and city clerk of the City of St. Charles to execute a 4-year agreement for services between the City of St. Charles and the St. Charles Business Alliance and Illinois Not-for-Profit Corporation. Eric.
We're a little bit quick on the PowerPoint presentation. That's our next item. But for this one, so on February 17th of this year, the St. Charles Business Alliance, they gave their annual presentation where, of course, they talked about all the events and projects and initiatives that they have. And they also had their annual funding request. For this year, they are requesting a 4-year agreement, with the first year funding being approximately $850,000. From there, each year, it will increase by 1.5%. and that's about $12,000 each year. Built into this also is that certain essential operational support services and fees associated with city contract events and programming will be absorbed by the city. This was discussed and voted on by the committee, informally, unanimously approved. This is just the formal agreement. With that, the recommendation is approval of the 4-year agreement. I can take any questions.
All right, any questions? Yes, Brian.
Thanks, Derek. So this agreement is for a 1.5% increase every year for the next 4 years, so they can't come back and ask for additional increase? It's locked in?
That's
we're good?
the idea, unless there is some type of special initiative that the city wants them to undertake that was unforeseen. Yeah.
Okay. Move for approval.
Second.
Moved by Werble, seconded by Folks. Any further discussion? None? Could I get a roll call, please?
Bungard.
Yes.
Munns.
Yes.
Spellman.
Yes.
Werble.
Yes.
Bessner.
Yes.
Weber.
Yes.
Kulkaitis.
Yes.
Folks.
Yes.
That passes. Moving on to item 6, in economic development, a presentation and discussion of RFP submittal for First Street redevelopment building lot, or 8th lot at 122 South 2nd Street.
So this is a discussion of city-owned property that we call Building 8, Lot 4. This is city-owned. Several months ago, we issued an RFP, and we did get a response from a developer. And you can kind of think of this as a concept review process. While we're not voting on anything right now today, really staff is looking for feedback, and I'm going to get into exactly what I'd be looking for. So just a little bit about the property. This is at the southwest corner of Illinois Street and Route 31. You can see the photos there on the right-hand side. This is a very small lot, 0.13 acres. It has our downtown zoning, the CBD1 districts that it includes is the overlay district, historic district, and is in our First Street TIF. This property is pretty well connected with all of our utilities, including water, sanitary, sewer, and electric. Public improvements that would be contemplated with this development would be the streetscape that would be consistent with the First Street development. Prior to issuing the RFP, we did hire an appraiser to do an appraisal, which came at $340,000. So we did do the RFP process, request for proposals. I'll quickly kind of explain that for anyone who doesn't know, but essentially we had a window of time where developers, or honestly anyone interested in the property, could submit a proposal that could be given to city staff, and then at that date we would open up all the proposals, and then we would contemplate them kind of together. I did get several calls from developers that were interested in this. We did post this on CoStar, which is the program that is online for anyone looking for property, commercial property. That's really the go-to. Did get calls from other developers, although they weren't too excited about going through the RFP process. They don't like the idea of having to compete for a certain property. A lot of them just want to put it under contract and work with the developer or with the city or the property owner one-on-one. That being said, we did get one formal submittal from a local development group that is led by Bob Rasmussen. I'm going to go through kind of the nuts and bolts of what is being proposed here, and then I'll let the developer kind of come up and give their narrative of what they're proposing. But this is a 4-story residential project. Important to note that the first level would be parking, and that parking would accommodate the upper 3 floors, which would be 12 apartment units. The square footage would range from about 850,000 to 1,175,000 square feet. Rents for each unit would be $1,900 to $2,400, plus there would be a $125 monthly parking fee. This equates to about a $2.28 per square foot, which is a metric that we use to determine what the value of a rental property is, or an apartment rental property is. That's pretty in line with what I would suspect, and this developer has experience in this area as well. The projected construction cost for this project, according to the developer, would be $3.2 million. This is something that I don't really have any say in. This is just an estimate. Of course, this developer knows what they're doing, done a lot of projects, but this is just an estimate at this time. Estimated property tax revenue on the annual basis would be $100,000, and of course this is in the First Street TIF, so it would go into that TIF district until that TIF was terminated. Important to note that the developer does have a few requests here. So one, they want the property to be conveyed for free, and they would like to be reimbursed for the streetscape improvements. Those are estimated to be $75K to about $100K. Okay. On the right-hand side here, I do have the renderings that were provided, and they did do a little bit of floor plans, and I do have those kind of blown up if we want to get a closer look at those. So before I bring the developer up here and they can give their narrative, this is what staff is looking for. Again, we're not looking for a vote or for us to problem solve and come up with something here. It's just generally, what do you think about these concepts? So one, are you supportive of the land use? Do you like this project, the residential, the 12 units, first floor parking, kind of the aesthetic that the developer put with the rendering? And then second to that is two financial components. Are you supportive of conveying the property at no cost? And then second, reimbursing the developer for the streetscape improvements. And with that, I will ask the developer, Bob Rasmussen, to come up and speak to his project.
Good evening, Bob Rasmussen. We're excited to be here tonight. I haven't been here in a while, so it's kind of fun. We set out, I think that RFP came out late last summer, actually. And for me personally, this is kind of a big deal because this is the last parcel of something I started in 2004. We've had a lot of ups and downs on First Street, bad economies, things like that have happened. But we wanted to finish in a strong way, with the objective being to build a beautiful building that fits into the St. Charles streetscape, hiding the helix on the parking ramp and really making that corner nice. So again, Dan Marshall, being the architect that did most everything for us on the buildings that I built, we hired him to do the preliminary sketches, and this is what he came up with. We fought him a little bit, but Dan's very intent in his mission, and his mission was to take the Baker Memorial Building, the Baker Hotel, and anything surrounding it, and try to get something to look a little bit historic, not modern, and fit in to the rest of downtown St. Charles with the surrounding buildings. The building's 4 stories. It's going to be pretty close to hiding the entire helix. It's going to have a little bit of green space around it. The streetscape will be very wide, just like you see in front of the restaurant next door in the parking garage entrance. So there's a lot of good positives for this to make this part of the downtown development look great as we enter First Street from Illinois. So the partners that I've put together are some longtime friends and partners. Rick Dow's sitting with us tonight. He's been my partner in Indiana Place, the Judd Mansion, and the 333 building, and some other things in Geneva. And then Ryan Corcoran and Ryan Jamison, who are my business partners in a management company, and you see Corcoran Real Estate everywhere. So I think we've assembled a real good team to put this project together, get it leased in a timely manner, and get it built. One thing I will say, this lot has sat vacant for many years. It had different people trying to build on it. Many times I looked at it and said, it's just not justifiable. It doesn't make financial sense. I'm not 100% sure this makes financial sense right at this point. Our intent tonight is to get a positive reading from the council so that we can go ahead and spend the next big chunk of money designing the building. Once we design the building, then I can take it to the market and see what it's really going to cost. I'm pretty decent at guessing what it's going to cost, but the 3.2 is actually about 3.3, I think, in our pro forma that we gave the city. I don't know if we can do it for that. And being a person of my word and everything I've done in the city, I want to stand here tonight and tell you our intent is to build this and build it right away. But there's a remote chance if it comes in too expensive, we might not be able to do it. I just want to make that clear up front. So we're looking for a head nod to say, go ahead and spend the money, get the design done, see if your budgets work, and if they do, let's go. Let's get this thing built. And we're going to do it very quickly and very timely. We're not going to mess around. So I'm here to answer any questions. The financial end of it is why we've asked for the property at a zero cost basis. It's why we've asked for the reimbursement of the streetscape. I will tell you that every single pad on the First Street development, this is exactly how it was done. I don't think, you were probably here back then, Ron, weren't you? When we developed all of First Street, it was a combined joint effort, the developer and the city. The city did not purchase all the land. We did it in conjunction with us and the city being a large portion, obviously, the procurement of the land, but we had a lot of dollars at stake as well. In the bad economy, I think it was right around 2010, we deeded all the property back to the city. So at one time, this plat was in our possession, and we did spend money to create part of this, and obviously we took a significant loss at the time. So tonight, our objective is to take this one last pad, make it great, and make it a great finish to the First Street development project. I'm here to answer any questions.
Thanks, Bob. Steve?
Thank you, Bob. Two questions for you. First of all, as far as the streetscape, best guess right now what you think that would be?
The city put in the $75,000 to $100,000 budget.
Okay.
And historically, that has come out of Russ's office, knowing what the pavers are going to cost, and so I think the budget's accurate.
Okay. And then secondary would be, how do you, obviously I know you still have to design it, Bob, but as far as the cars getting in and out of the building, how do you see that happening? Is there going to be a door that opens up, or is there going to be two access points? Or
yeah, so can you see there we go. So there's already a driveway, if you will, a curb cut there, just to the west of the helix. We intend to use pretty much that same entrance. It's going to be widened a little bit and changed slightly. We ran this engineering by the engineering department early on before we even did a drawing to say, is this feasible? And they agreed it was. So the infrastructure's all there. You can see the electric transformer in the back. We're well away from that. To the right is the garbage corrals for all the restaurants that are in the plaza building. And then we were able to create 11 spaces. Now, I'm a firm believer, owning many different buildings of this small nature, you gotta park them. If you don't park them, people won't live there. So we've got 11. We really wanted 12, but I just can't fit it with the 2 stairwells and the elevator, all required by code. So we've got 11 spaces. Obviously, you can park overnight in part of the main parking garage, but people in general won't like that. When we have garages, we run apartments a lot easier than we don't. But that's where the entrance will be, and I think it'll be a right in, right out. Obviously, it'll have some signage that will make it function properly. But the city has given that part of the engineering their initial blessing.
Thank you. I think it's a cool building. I'd really like to see that corner develop. So thanks for starting to put things together. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
So, Bob, can you ballpark with a project of this cost? How long does it take for a developer to get in the black? You know, so if it's 3.3, 3.5, how long does it take after it's fully rented and everything's been paid for a developer to be made whole?
Well, I always tell my children I do it for you. No, I mean, I think on a cash-on-cash basis, I think this will be in the black immediately, but being like a less than 4% return. Mm-hmm. Our challenge is we tend to leverage about 60% of the project, 65% of the project, and interest rates are terrible right now for this type of construction. Mm-hmm. So right now it's a negative return, just barely negative. So you get that over time, you get your taxes going up over time, you get your maintenance going up over time. As the building ages, you start to replace things, but your first 10 years are pretty reasonable as far as expenses go. After about 10 years in that building, and of course if we can get some favorable interest rates, we should be doing okay. Mm-hmm. And that's really kind of the bottom line. 20 years, it's a good deal, That's what it takes for some of these buildings. And I've owned several for over 20 years, and we're finally at that point where they're giving us the return that we had hoped for.
That makes sense. And Derek, we kind of talked about this before. If the project, if for whatever reason the project doesn't get developed, does it kick back to the city over a certain time? We've had it for a year, for 2 years, and does that ultimately just fall back, or does the developer hang on to it?
Yeah, we would construct the agreement such that Bob would have a certain time period, and if he didn't meet the deadlines at that, he would default, and the city would still maintain control of the property.
Is there a scenario where they're also required to maintain ownership for a certain amount of periods? They can't, if I receive public property for free, hang on to it for 2 years, and then turn around.
They would not be allowed to sell it.
Okay.
So.
For how long?
Ever. They would never be allowed to sell it. So if they didn't develop the property,
right,
then we would structure the agreement such that we would end up with the property.
Gotcha.
So historically, Ryan, what has happened in these type of developments with St. Charles, we won't be deeded that property till we actually open an escrow with the cash ready to build. So I don't think that scenario could happen where we would own the property and not build on it. I guess it could, but it'd be pretty rare because we actually have to have the escrow open. We have to have the funds available to build, and that typically is the type of agreement that we set with the city. So we're not looking for ownership of this property in the near future. We're looking to say, okay, do I get the green light to go spend the real money? And trust me, if we spend the real money, I really do want your real opinion tonight, because I don't want to come back with this same building and not have it be approved, and now we're out a whole lot of money in architectural and engineering fees. Yeah. So that's really our objective. And then if that happens and we get approvals from all the various plan commissions, et cetera, at that point we draft the agreement, get the escrow going, and I'm guessing that would probably be springtime next year.
Yeah. So I know other people want to chime in. I think the team is fantastic. I think the design is awesome. I would want to have more conversations about the financials of, who's getting what does this look like long term, the repayment for the streetscape. I'm not saying I'm a no on that, but I just want to have more clarification as to how this is all going to look. But in terms of the use of the space, the design, the team, I think it's a slam dunk.
Thank you.
Yeah, Ron.
Thank you. Just got a question. In here, on your notes, it says, impact fees should be handled by the city's previous agreement with the county at no cost to the developer. Could you explain kind of that paragraph too?
So years ago, when we did the development, originally, we had an agreement with Kane County on impact fees. That agreement remains in place, as I understand, and the impact fees have been paid. So I was just being a little redundant saying, let's make sure this is true, which it is.
Okay, so that's...
And I'll just say, the staff did look into that, and that is true.
That is true. Okay, so that is correct. Okay. Yeah, I like the design. It's going to be brick, right?
Yes.
I do like that aspect of it. But to Ryan's point, yeah, let's a little more details on the mostly the streetscape expenses and stuff. I'd like to see if we can work something out there and go from there. But I'm generally supportive of it. Yes.
And Ron, I'll point out that the streetscape design typically comes from I don't remember who did it last time, Russ. It was probably the city did it with I forget who, but the city actually was very involved in the actual design of it, and then we built it.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, we'll just keep coming down this way.
Sure.
Go ahead.
Love the design. I think it'd be great. My struggle is with giving away the land in the streetscape. Just would like to work something out.
So let me explain my position on the land. This property has sat here since I first wanted to build on it about 4.5 years ago. Okay, you're going to generate $100,000 a year by having this building up. I would have made you money already had I been able to build this building 4.5 years ago. So I stand here tonight saying, let's not waste any more time. This is public money. I submitted this on February 6th. I'm standing here 3 months later presenting saying, can we do it? I'm anxious. It's $9,000 a month to the city of St. Charles that we're passing up every single month. I don't think there's going to be another developer with the fortitude that we have to get it done in a timely manner and make the money we need to make to create the positive TIF that we need to create. So, Mark, I think it's very important to get this going. It's not about the 340. If I could pay the 340, I would, but then we're upside down. It makes no sense to me. So the objective in doing this particular building, for me, I'm not going to necessarily speak for my partners, I want to finish the project. I started it 22 years ago. And I'm willing to put a building up that maybe we'll take a chance on how long it'll take to be profitable. If we design this building a little less expensive, like the one we did next to the Blue Goose, Rick and I did, the 333 building, we could probably pay it for the land. But this is a preliminary estimate on the masonry, $785,000. Compared to about a $300,000 exterior on the other building. That's the difference. But I think it's critical that we create a building here that just makes its presence on that corner. And we're willing to spend the money to do that. And in turn, we'll get a little more rent, but in turn, you'll get a little more tip because the tax rate will be higher. So I think there's a lot of benefits to letting the land go finally and getting it going from a pure financial aspect.
I hear what you're saying. I'm worried about the precedent you set in doing that. That's just my concerns. But I totally hear what you're saying and hear financially how it works. I would just like to see if there's a little give and take anyway. That's
right.
Thank you so much. I do very much like the look of the building. I appreciate that you're trying to meet the historic expectations of some of the surrounding areas. I really do like that. I like that you're putting in some units. I obviously know that our council is looking for affordable housing, and that's just not in the cards for this particular build. And I absolutely understand and respect that. I am like Mark in that I'm trying to square how when we have land that's across the street, that we've got Whole Foods right there, this is valuable land. And to your point where, yeah, it's been vacant for 4 years, but we haven't had it on the market for that period because we've been waiting for Whole Foods to open and to show the value of that area. So I guess I would wonder, and maybe this is a question for Derek, if we weren't putting developers through an RFP process, which is cumbersome and difficult, and not everybody wants to go through that. They do want just an open market bidding process. Would that yield more opportunities for people to come and simply bid on such a property?
Yeah, as I said in my intro, I did get calls from some developers that saw it online and they were interested. Hey, what is this RFP process? And it's just something that a lot of developers aren't really willing to do. They don't want to spend time and money and then just be told in the first round, no thank you. So if this was something where we weren't the city and we didn't have to have this window where we let everyone participate and it sat on the market, we could have someone who was just interested enough to explore it, knowing that we were only going to work with them for a certain time period while they figured out the project. I mean, that's how it happens in the private world.
Because I would say that to Alderman Weber's point earlier, our responsibility is the taxpayer and the money that belongs to them, which is in that land. So to give that land away seems irresponsible to me. And then on top of that, to give away the fees of the streetscape on top, so that giving away the hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of land plus the impact fees, or the streetscape fees, that just doesn't seem to be financially responsible of us. And I understand what you're saying, that you're then going to return that to us through the tax money that you're going to be generating for us. But it's a hard sell for, I think, our taxpayers. So I'm not sure exactly how I sell that when I know that there's land very nearby that's going to be selling for a fair market value. And then those people are going to invest in that and build on it. So it's a tough sell to me.
Sure. Jamie, it's two things. It hasn't been available for 4.5 years because it was tied up through a previous RFP. And it was under an agreement with the city to be built and never got built. Mm-hmm. And that just ended about 2 years ago when the Whole Foods thing came in. Yeah. And obviously, the tax incentive deals that any government body does, which I've done many of them in St. Charles, you've done many of them recently, Whole Foods being one of them. This is no different. It's just a different method of doing it. It's no different than doing a tax rebate. It's no different than giving them a 99-year lease on the parking lot. Yeah, and I will say hats off to the council for getting that deal done, because when you look at the sale of that building at $17.1 million, this year's tax on that building is $155,000. My apartment building next door is taxed higher than that building. But once that 17.1 million kicks in, that tax number is going to be huge to the city. Great job getting that deal done, and that therefore justifies never building on Lot 6, which was the parking lot, which I was bummed out about when I saw it happen. But the financial aspect of what you did as a council and as a city to get that deal done is going to generate huge financial rewards for the city. It's no different than this. This just might be a little more in your eyes, if you will, because it's a piece of land, where that's some tax savings, things like that, or whatever the deals were, the Pomani deal, the Costco deal, you know what they are.
Yeah.
So.
Appreciate that.
Thank you.
Brian?
Do you want to get Vicki?
Oh, yeah, sorry. The side out of mine. Vicki, do you have any comments?
Thank you. Yes, I agree with most of what the last few folks said, is that I support adding residential development downtown and continuing that momentum that you started with First Street development. Bringing more residents is going to be beneficial. And I also want to really recognize the Rasmussen Group for all of the really great work they've done and what a great partner they've been to St. Charles. It is tough to talk about giving away valuable downtown land right now, given just a couple of weeks ago we had a very passionate debate on council about taking raises away from city staff to save less money than the value of this land. So it's just tough right now because we're in a very tight budget environment. But I think you make some really important points, and I would just like to maybe dig in a little bit deeper, keep the conversation going, understand why this level of assistance is necessary financially, if there's any other way we can structure it to make it feel as equitable as possible. I appreciate the design and the historic sensitivity as well.
Okay, thank you, Vicki.
Okay. So I think I might have some questions for staff and yourself, Bob. So as far as the land use for the building, I think it's a beautiful building. It's designed well architecturally. It blends with the other historic buildings, so good job with that. It looks fantastic in my opinion. Did you say that you own that property at some point way back in the day, and then you deeded it back to the city?
So yes, what happened on all of the First Street property, the city did the TIF bonds. We dumped in, if I recall, $8 million in cash. Don't repeat me on that, but you can do the research. I could too. And then we owned all the property, and it was all in our deeded to us. And then in 2010, we had stopped development because of the economy. Nothing was happening, and because of that stop, we were no longer performing under the redevelopment agreement. So we were asked to deed all the property back to the city. And at that time, it wasn't a very fun time, but we did it.
Okay.
And the good news is we were able to come back and then build the River Lot, the Sterling Building, and the ALE Building, and 333. And over time, we got some things done, which really made me feel good about getting things moving forward.
Sure.
Yeah.
So the other, when it comes to the streetscape, I look and I think back what we did recently with the First Street row homes down by the bike shop. We gave them over $200,000 in streetscape improvements with the sidewalk and some other elements to that. So I'm not necessarily opposed to helping with the streetscape. We have a precedent of doing it with other properties, with other projects. It's an incentive, as you mentioned. I'm looking at your cost to build the building. If you're caught, and maybe this is something for Derek he can speak to, maybe there's some sort of agreement that if your costs escalate above a certain amount, then you don't pay for the property. If your costs are well below a certain amount, so you know what, I got a sale on brick and I save $200,000, maybe you do pay for the property. Can that, and Derek, is that something you can speak to where that is some sort of arrangement or agreement that could be made?
That's something that can be considered if Bob does go out and price this project out and it comes in $3 million for whatever reason. You still have $300,000 out there theoretically that could be used to purchase the property.
Okay.
But if it was, what you're saying though is if it did come back as $3.3 million, then you would still get it for free.
Correct.
That's what you're saying.
Yeah,
So
that's what I'm saying, yes.
That could be an agreement that could be drafted.
I'm just trying to think outside the box a little bit with it, so, what other comments do I have?
Yeah, Brian, so we have had that conversation. We have no problem with that.
Okay.
Not at all.
So that would work for you?
And the number is the 3.3 number that we're looking to attain.
I don't think that's unreasonable at all. I think it's being flexible and being creative in what we're doing here to try and get a piece of property built upon that's been on the market or vacant for many, many years. And in my opinion, if it was that desirable piece of a property, it would have already been built upon.
Or it would have had more than one response on
more than one response. That's how I look at it. I get the whole, giving it away I get that point of, but there's benefits that come back to the downtown and to the city with tax dollars, additional people going around shopping, supporting Whole Foods. So I see that benefit as well. So I'm okay with the land use. I'm okay with conveying the property at no cost with some sort of agreement that we just discussed so that, hey, you know what, you came in way under, well then fair enough, and pay us the fair amount for it. But I love the building. The architecture looks fantastic. It's high quality, and like you said, you can probably pay for the property if we want something of less quality.
Correct.
And I prefer to have something that looks like this. I think it just blends with the downtown and the character of the other buildings. So overall, I'm supportive of what you want to do with that property.
Thank you.
Hey, Bob, how are you?
Good.
Just to kind of build on that, looking at the property itself, it's beautiful. It's going to be a nice entryway into what we could all see as another point to get to First Street, really. All you see now is obviously the parking deck and cars coming in there, so it'll be a nice entryway in. The first thing I thought about, though, that came to mind was the property and the streetscaping. And don't get me wrong, the streetscaping is going to be very important to me. Just seeing the rest of the First Street District, the First Street Plaza, et cetera. Right now, I don't know if I want to do both, meaning the land and the streetscaping. I don't know if there's a need to do both. In your opinion, financially, I would probably lean more towards, as Councilmember Werbaugh said, donating or giving the land part of it. I just can't get it through my head now if I want to do both. I will say, in the past, and this is no reflection on you, but just following the First Street Plaza to where it is now, we, have done something similar actually with the Arcata Theater. We donated the old George Sports Store, et cetera, and that worked out fine. But when we needed a parcel for the plaza, nobody came to our rescue as well. So I'm willing to look at the land. I just don't know if I'm willing to do both streetscape and land. That might be something we can all talk about financially as well.
Okay.
Okay. I never actually voiced my feeling about the money, but I look at it similar to Werbaugh as well, from the standpoint that based on the ask, the conveyance of the land would generate zero revenue right now, right? It's just zero. It's just land. Nobody's done anything with it. At the 340 plus 100 for the streetscape, so 4.5 years based on what we would get in tax revenue. Now we're even, right? I think it makes sense to do it. I'd much rather have more people downtown. As Alderman Munn said, we're trying to save money, but we're actually not. We're spending a lot of money, so I want us to continue to invest, to bring more people in town, to continue to spend more money to keep up with our spending. So I 100% support the conveyance and the streetscape.
Thank you, Steve. And just to remind us what our objective was when we first started First Street, it was to get people to live downtown, to get people to work downtown, and to get people to shop and dine. Shopping's a bit gone in this world, but nonetheless, dining and living are two big things. And this will obviously bring 12 more residences to our specific downtown district, which helps everybody. Helps Whole Foods, helps every restaurant, helps the small couple stores that we still have. So there's a lot of potential benefit to that as well.
Right. Derek, can you reference that people expressed an interest in the property, without going. Can you shed more light on what those conversations, how serious were people? If for some reason you didn't go with an RFP, would you have a bidding war of 10 developers walking in, or would it be very similar to, you might get one or two people throwing, a few bucks at this property? Or, I'm just trying to learn more because you've referenced, there was a lot of people reaching out.
Yeah, I wouldn't say a lot of people. There was a handful of people, and they were all phone calls. They didn't come in and look at the property. I think the idea of going through an RFP was enough for them to say, no, not interested. Had it just been on the market, maybe they, and not known they were going to be competing against others, they may have thrown a little bit of money at it, come in, talked, looked at the property, talked to an architect. But these were people that saw it pop up online and were interested in it, but just didn't want to pursue it, not knowing they would do it individually.
Yeah, so I don't want to put you on the spot, but I'm gonna.
Okay.
So, in theory, if this RFP, if this proposal, doesn't have the support and it was to go to, an open bid as for sale, how confident are you that we would have, serious people willing and interested in buying it? Not to say what, they would own the land, who knows what the project would be, or is it?
I think that if it went on the market, I would get people that would take it that next step and probably come in and maybe talk to an architect or an engineer, just to not have them do plans, but try to come up with a pro forma that would work similar to what Bob did here.
Okay.
So.
Thank you.
I had one more question for Darren while you're up there. If this development does get approved and it's fully occupied rental-wise, 12 units, I know Councilmember Bongard brought this up a little bit earlier, but is there a minimum time where the developer or the owner of the property has to stay with this being occupied, or is this something that could be sold like within a year or two?
That's something that we could do, that they couldn't sell it, but that's not something that we have done. I'm just thinking about it. I don't think that's necessarily something that we would, that I can think of why we would do right now.
Okay, fair enough. Thank you.
Yeah, Brian.
Just a quick follow-up question. So I think there's some comments up here about what if we just sold the property to someone and they bought it. I think it would look like it does today 5 years from now. I think whoever comes in there has to have the means, the vision to build on it and to create a purpose for that building that's going to benefit our downtown and our community. So I'm not a fan, even if somebody says, you know what, look, we got $200,000 for it instead of maybe $100,000 because he built it and there was that gap there. To me, it's been sitting for so long, it's really just a lost opportunity. And I think, I think we can work something out here is what I'm saying. And I hope we can work something out here with the numbers. So that's where I'm at with that.
I do want to just say one more time that at least for the last 2 years, it's been intentionally not on the market. But that's not what I was waiting to say. My question is, what is the expectation of 12 new residents as far as bringing in income and tax money into the city?
The expectation as far as...
We're giving away this land for free. We're doing $100,000 worth of streetscape that we're giving to a developer, and now we're bringing in 12 new residents. What is that bringing to our city as far as revenue? I think
it's the whole package. I mean, you look at the tax revenue, especially with it going in the First Street TIF, that's meaningful. Look, 12 residents or 12 apartments in our downtown isn't going to, be some catalytic project. But this is an opportunity that is something that I think fits with the vision. But is it going to be some catalytic project that's going to transform our downtown? I would say no with 12 units, but it's not what you're going to fit. That's about what you're going to fit on this property anyway. So.
Okay. I just want to make sure we're setting expectations of what 850 to 1175 square feet is going to get 12 to maybe 24 people into our downtown. And I don't want to make it sound like we're getting this boon of new residents.
No, but it's also about the revenue from the building itself. Right now, we're getting nothing for not just, and I know you keep bringing up 2 years, but it was 4.5 years prior to that. it was years when he owned it. And that, if you add it all up, that's probably just the value, if not more, of the whole property. So the longer we talk about it and don't give someone at least an opportunity, and maybe it doesn't work out, I don't know. I don't think that's benefiting our community or downtown, because there's just not a lot of people lining up to build it. It's a tough parcel when you're on Route 31 IDOT. You're by a parking deck. It's not a premium, in my opinion, it's probably not a super premium piece of property down there. But we'll see what happens.
Mark.
Bob, when you owned it, is this what you envisioned?
I'm sorry?
When you first owned it, is this what you envisioned to do?
We actually designed, that's 20 years ago. I think we had a 3-story building on here with office space. I think that's what was there. This building's a little better looking than the original design, if you see it. I mean, I think, did you provide that to them? The original rendering? Yeah, because we had an original rendering. We designed, I think it was 3 stories. I think it was office space. Alderman Bessner, just to touch on your question about ownership. Rick and I don't sell anything. And it's just what we've done in our portfolio. Ryan and Ryan have been buying properties throughout St. Charles. This is our livelihood. This is what we do for a living. Yes, there will be a day when something gets sold, probably be our children, but we have no intent of selling. Okay. So very, very proud builders, very proud owners, love St. Charles, and we just like everything that we've done here.
No, fair enough. It was more of an informative question for me as well, and I was kind of leaning what I thought Councilman or Baumgart might have been leading towards as well. But fair enough.
Mark, yeah.
I guess my question, not trying to lead you anywhere, but why the change in plans? So why not just go back to the original design that you had 20 years ago? Is there something is this just, you think, a better use of the space now?
Yeah,
or,
the world changed in COVID. Office space is difficult. Ryan can speak to that. They do all of our office leasing. We still own quite a bit of office space throughout St. Charles. We do okay at it, but it's tough.
Okay.
And again, we lost, I think I had a plan for 42 units on the pad 6, which is the parking lot for Whole Foods. And no, there's not a huge impact for 12 people to live here, 12 couples, whatever it is, but there's an impact. So we're going to get 12 back. So I think that's more important than the office space right now and more viable. I wouldn't build an office building. Okay. It wouldn't make sense to me.
Thank you.
Vicki, do you have any other comments?
No, thank you.
Okay, thanks. So you want as you mentioned, the head nod. So what I'm hearing is, correct me if I'm wrong, that there's we're getting hung up a little bit, some of us, on the land, which I understand. But in general, I appreciate the thinking outside the box and working. Do you have what you need, I guess, from the comments so far, in terms of moving forward, or do you need definitive?
Well, of course, we're looking for definitive because we're going to spend a large sum of money doing the full blueprints, which I can't bid things out until I have full blueprints. So yeah, we're kind of looking for a definitive answer. Would you be okay with it? And we're okay with the maximum. I mean, if we can get this thing under, but I'm telling you right now, Brian, I don't think there's a chance of that in today's world. It's just expensive. I mean, I can show you what we built the other building. So we spent on Indiana Place, we had a building. I know it was garbage, but we had a structure, we had a foundation, we had 14-inch thick brick walls, and what did we spend? $3 million on that building for 15 units. $3 million, and we were blown away. I'm like, how did that happen? And I'm known to be one of the more frugal builders you'll find. Everybody in town knows that. We find ways to do things less expensively than most builders, and we'll do the same thing here. So the realistic number that we came in at 3.3, which is a guesstimate, there's no question. I'm just giving you a reality. If it came in less, I have no problem giving you some money for the land. I don't think I would accept the answer to change the outside of the building and take $400,000 off of it so you can buy the land. I don't want to put my name on it, not in this location. It's got to look great.
Okay, so for me, I support your project. I think you do good work. I've seen your work, and the land use is fine. The streetscapes, I know we've done that in the past. I'm understanding my colleagues' comments. I just don't want to not have this land developed. So if the developer is saying he doesn't really have a definitive answer, do we just go around and say we got to give him what he asked for if he wants to move forward? So
yeah, I mean, we've done this before.
Yeah, go ahead.
Chairman, can I make a suggestion? Is everyone up here comfortable with the idea if he has a budgetary number and he comes under, he has to pay for the land? In other words, you don't get it for free. Or if he's over, then it's it's $5 million for the property. That's kind of the idea where I'm going with this, is at least there's that opportunity. If you're, hey, I came in at 2.9, I've got an extra $350,000, I will pay you for that land. To me, that seems fair based on the market. It's difficult to build it, but at least that opportunity is there. It's not a hard no, a hard yes. It's really dependent upon cost and things of that nature, and I'm sure staff obviously will work with the developer. So, I mean, that's kind of where I'm going with this, if that...
And I hear, and to kind of dovetail what you're saying too, I personally too, I think where there's a will, there's a way, and we can make this happen moving forward, and that's a great thinking outside the box approach. Did you have a comment?
No, but I will say in support of this that we spent $4 million on a First Street Plaza too. We came up with the money to do it. So it's not like we're spending that kind of money to get this property developed, which has been open ever since they tore down Jimmy Gutierrez's house. Long time ago.
Right. Sorry? Who? Jimmy Gutierrez. It was his house.
Catch me up on that later on.
I would just add that this is a different financial situation that the city is in than all of the things that are being mentioned here, and that's the reason that I am in the mindset that I am about giving away land.
What about your thoughts again on providing a spectrum or a scale?
I find it highly unlikely.
Well, I mean, we don't have a crystal ball, but what do you think? In general,
it's fairly unlikely that we would
unlikely enough that
find a situation where they're going to have money laying around at the end of the day.
Okay. So you would not, as presented by staff, your comments would not be to...
I love the design. I love the use of the land. I'm not interested in giving away taxpayer-owned land and paying for the streetscape for a developer.
Yeah.
I'll just say, I'm in on the land, I'll chew on the streetscape. How's that? Is that enough for now?
Yeah.
For me?
I'll just reiterate, I'm good on both.
I'm good. Yeah.
Thank you.
I'm fine with both. Oh, you guys are up.
Not comfortable. Not comfortable. I'd like to see staff continue to work to see one or the other.
I'm probably somewhere between Ed and Brian. I would just add, I think to somewhere in between Brian and Jamie's point, I think the ask by you guys is extremely reasonable, especially when you look at the timeline and the history. It is a really, really nice design. You have no question about the developer's project. I think as we talk about the next 3 or 4 years, I'm not necessarily worried about this particular ask. I think it'd be very easy to say, you know what, let's make this work for all the reasons. What I'm really hung up on right now is what's coming after and what comes after that. And do you have hey, here's what we're going to do with a PD site or something else? I know I got to stay on the agenda topic, but I'm more interested in, because it is a valid point that, hey, if you flip through the pages of our history, you're always going to be able to find a time that we did act with this person, and that's why we got to keep doing it. But is that the path you want to keep going down when you're trying to develop the city and you've got the financial questions that you have? In terms of this project, am I comfortable right now saying, yes or no at this moment, or the project dies? I'm not there yet, so, let's continue to talk. I like the design. I'd be very interested in learning more about, hey, what, if we set, the bar here and we come in under and you start working that, I think that's reasonable. honestly, I'm more curious about the next 3-4 years and all the available things that we have, and how do we have a real plan of how we tackle when a developer asks us something like this. We don't have to go, an hour around the table trying to justify if we want to make it work or not. So.
Can Vicky respond as well?
No, I was just going around, still had a couple.
Oh, I'm
ago,
sorry.
So. Yeah, Mark, you gave your comments, right?
I'm very similar where Ryan kind of sits with it as well, but as presented here, I would have to be a no right now.
I'm sorry.
I would have to be a no right now. It's presented here. I would love to see it continue to be worked on and discussed. I'm not like a hard, complete no, but I'm also thinking toward the future and other things and precedents being set, so that's why I sit where I sit.
And I agree with that. I'll just refer to staff and to Bob too. I mean, in order to have further discussions, would you guys agree they would need to spend additional money to give us more details to talk about? Is that kind of, I mean, that's what you want a head nod to move forward and spend additional money to provide additional planning. We need to do that in order to, I would say, to give him some direction in order to have more discussion. Would that be fair, or do you have enough to move forward? Do you feel comfortable moving forward?
No, you're correct, David. Mm-hmm. It's exactly what we're looking for tonight.
Okay. So it's kind of like
our situation is the same as you.
Mm-hmm.
It's a tough financial decision.
Right.
I get not giving things away. I understand that, but I also get not wanting to spend be upside down the day we build the building. It just makes no sense.
Mm-hmm. Right.
But I want to finish the project. I want to get it done. And I don't think you're going to get another developer to walk in here because it hasn't happened. I'm a known commodity. I'm a man of my word. I'll do what I say I'm going to do, which is why I prefaced the conversation with there's still a chance we might not build it. Because when I've stood at this podium before, I have built it every single time. I think you all know that. And so that's our intent. That's our mission. It's hard to go spend another 40 or 50 grand on design plans, not knowing if we can financially make it work. We're willing to take that risk on our end. And I'm hearing about half of you are willing to take the risk on your end. And that's kind of what I'm hearing tonight. So we've got some tough thinking on our end.
Ron, did you want to add anything?
Oh, no, I made my point. I'm okay with it.
Okay.
Vicky,
one more. Vicky, do you have any other? Yeah,
well,
go ahead.
I guess I'm kind of where I was before, but did I hear you correctly, Bob, that I think you just said you'd be willing to, give up the streetscape request. It feels like we could still continue to discuss before Rasmussen has to spend lots and lots more money. Let's keep the conversation going. It wouldn't be a hard no, but I don't know that we have to do exactly what's being proposed here without more discussion. Bob, did you say that you were receptive to that a minute ago?
Sorry, I was having trouble hearing.
Having a little hard time quite understanding
it. So, Vicky, would you be in favor of them moving forward with additional designs? Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say I'm hearing a lot from council that there's a little bit of a split vote on this right now. This is a discussion-only item tonight. Perhaps we can make some more contact with Mr. Rasmussen tomorrow, start gathering maybe some more detailed information to present to council at a future meeting, and maybe get that final answer.
So will we table this the next?
It's a discussion-only item, so we'll just bring back another agenda item with additional information.
Okay.
Thank you, Heather.
Okay. So everyone. Okay.
Thank you, council. Appreciate your time.
Thank you, Bob. Thanks, Heather, for stopping that. All right, moving on to number 7, information technology. Recommendation to approve a resolution authorizing the approval of a 1-year extension of an agreement with Anthony Timbers LLC for managed security services for $218,406. Larry.
Thank you, Chairperson Petrola. A little background on this recommendation. Excuse me. A key objective of the city's information security strategy is to leverage outsourced managed security services to strengthen cybersecurity defenses. This enables us to accomplish continuous 24/7 monitoring of our systems, as well as have access to advanced expertise and security knowledge without adding any full-time staff at the city. For the past 3 years, we have partnered with managed security services provider Anthony Timbers LLC Anthony Timbers was selected in 2023 through a competitive RFP process that drew more than 20 responses. And over the past 3 years, Anthony Timbers has delivered a comprehensive scope of security services within budget and has helped the city achieve a measurable reduction in security risk. And we know that because our vulnerability management software calculates cybersecurity risk exposure on a near real-time basis. Staff is recommending a 1-year extension of the agreement with Anthony Timbers at a cost of $218,406, which is less than a 1% increase from the previous year. And the proposed cost includes vulnerability management software, security information and event management software, and data storage, as well as information security services, which include continuous monitoring of our systems. And I'm welcome to take any questions.
Yes, yeah, Brian.
Is this, I recall that Mr. Timbers, did he come in 2023
yes.
and he presented to us, if I recall?
Yes.
That's the same, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm okay with it. Move for approval.
Second.
All right, I have a motion by Wirball, seconded by Folks. Any other quick discussion? All right, could I get a roll call, please?
Songard?
Yes.
Munns?
Yes.
Spellman?
Yes.
Wirball?
Yes.
Fessner?
Yes.
Weber?
Yes.
Kulkaitis?
Yes.
Folks?
Yes.
That passes. Thank you, Larry. Moving on to item B under Information Technology. Recommendation to approve a resolution authorizing the approval of software subscriptions with Granicus, Inc. for $119,104.
Yeah, so Granicus software powers a lot of our online systems for residents, businesses, and visitors. So renewing these subscriptions ensures continuity of some of our core public-facing applications and services. So we have 4 key applications that come from Granicus. One's a Government Experience Cloud, which supports our main website, the economic development site, digital forms. We have public meeting management, which we're implementing this year. This Government Experience Cloud also supports our communication platform, which is used for residents and businesses for our newsletter and press releases. And soon we're going to have an artificial intelligence agent implemented with our website from Granicus. We also have GovQA, which enables our city's FOIA and public records request processing. SmartGov, which supports online licensing, such as liquor licensing, as well as special event permits. And finally, we also have OneView software from Granicus, which provides digital service requests. And we're going to be integrating our AI systems with OneView service requests this year to make it much more easier and intuitive for residents to make service requests to the city. So, any questions?
Brian, go ahead.
Thanks, Larry, for your presentation. Yeah. Could you speak to the artificial intelligence digital agent and what role that's going to play in our community?
Yeah, so it's going to be available on the website. So it's going to work like instead of somebody trying to search for something or search the website or type in search, you can ask the AI agent a question. It's going to be able to provide results in more of a vocabulary type of summary form, much like an AI tool you would use on a standard AI tool that is available now. It's using similar technology as something like ChatGPT or Claude. Actually, it has Claude as its back-end engine for its large language model. Okay. So very similar to what you would see in the other artificial intelligence tools.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Dr. Gunderson. I'm wondering, and this is maybe a larger question, is there an opportunity for us to take a look at, as a council, the strategic plan and maybe understand how each of these items, maybe as a whole, are fitting together as the year goes? So seeing sort of a wheel of when each of these subscription services come up for renewal and how we can expect to see them throughout the year to give us a better understanding of where things fit, how they strategically work within the city, so that we understand what's going to be coming to us throughout the year. Because I think as we see these, it's a little tough for us to picture how they fit into each of the areas of our IT structure.
Sure, we can do that as a separate presentation to kind of lay out, the
and I can't
time
for
frame
everybody,
of projects.
But I think I would like to better understand that instead of, as we see them piecemeal come through to us, have me understand, this is expiring or this is a new a new subscription service and why this is replacing something else or where this is going to be renewed in the future and how this fits into a larger picture for the strategic plan for IT.
Yeah, so we can do a specific presentation regarding just technology that we're implementing and the timeline of all those technologies. We also have the strategic technology plan that we're working on this year as well too, which will kind of address those questions. But I think you're looking, sounds to me like something more practical regarding timeline of certain implementations on an ongoing basis.
And just to give us a picture, so it's for the public to understand it, for us to understand it as we're approving each of these, because these are large dollar amounts, and help us understand how it all fits together.
Yep, I think a separate presentation would make sense.
That would be wonderful. And so just to help me understand this particular, this software subscription, is this a replacement for an existing, or is this a renewal?
This is ongoing.
Okay.
Yeah, it was selected through an RFP process over 3 years ago in response to the city's strategic plan. So we had specific strategic plan goals around public engagement to improve our websites, improve our public engagement tools.
Right. And that AI piece is an additional new feature that exists within Granicus. It's not something separate that we're purchasing.
Right. That was not envisioned at the time of the strategic plan. AI was still kind of its infancy, but one of the values of working with a company like Granicus, which specializes in municipal public technology, is they have kind of purpose-built tools that we can leverage. So our expectation is these things, as they came along, would be available to us.
And what type of firewalls are there between that AI tool and the systems that live behind that in the city's infrastructure? Yeah, well,
first of all, it all resides in the cloud, so it won't be accessing any internal city systems. But there are rules and security guidelines and guardrails within the technology to ensure that private information stays private. So prompts that citizens may put into the system won't be stored and shared and built as part of it. They will not be public.
So it can only access publicly accessible information?
Exactly. Yes, only publicly accessible information, and only information that we allow it to access as well, too.
And does a third party have access to the data that the public is feeding into that? So, for example, does the third party get access to what they're searching, or does that live with us?
It's our data, and it's our data alone, and we do not share that even with a third party.
Okay. Thanks so much.
You're welcome.
Just kind of interjecting here, I actually tend to agree with you as well. When I was reviewing this item and other IT items too, and I'm supportive, no worries, but some sort of visual or I don't know, not a flow chart, but I think what you're describing is some sort of just a visual of where each individual software, what it supports, and just a very high level, something like that I think would be helpful for me, and again, speaking for myself, and I think I'm kind of dovetailing on your point, would be helpful if that could be available to us, just because we do see quite a few, and 12 months is a long time, and sometimes we might not recall when something was, re-upped. So I don't know, if your team could work on something like that, that would be helpful, I would think too. But did you have another?
Move for approval.
Second.
All right, moved by Warball, seconded by Folks. Any other further discussion? All right, can I get a roll call, please?
Bungard?
Yes.
Mom?
Yes.
Spellman?
Yes.
Warball?
Yes.
Bessner?
Yes.
Weber?
Yes.
Fulkaitis?
Yes.
Folks?
Yes.
Great, that motion passes. Thanks, Larry. Moving on to number 8, Public Works. 8A, recommendation to approve a resolution awarding the unit cost bid for the annual lead line replacement program to Swallow Construction in the amount of $7,650,000.
Evening. As a reminder, we have about 3,000 lead service lines in CUNY, and with the current state and federal mandate, we have 10 years to replace those service lines at about $300 a year. Tonight, we're requesting the full budget amount of $7,650,000. As far as the process for the bidding, we advertised for bids on March 6th. The city held an actually mandatory pre-bid meeting where the contractors had to show to the meeting to talk about the project, ask any questions about the project, and just go through the details of the project. They also had additional time to submit questions until March 27th. On April 6th, the city received one bid for the lead line replacement program. There was a second bidder, but he improperly submitted his documents in the bidding portal. Single bidder was Swallow Construction Corporation out of West Chicago. Swallow Construction has successfully completed several other water and sewer projects for the city of St. Charles in the past. Swallow Construction has also been working on other communities in the area for lead line replacement. As a reminder, how the format of this bid was kind of laid out is a unit cost contract. That means the city actually pays for the actual unit cost used on that property. So if you put in 50 foot of copper, you're only paying for 50 foot of copper. If you're putting in 20 foot of square foot of concrete, you're only paying for 20 foot of square foot of concrete. The city set the bids up this way to try to eliminate any or reduce any unknown costs or any future change orders. The city also has formatted the bid so the homeowner will be dealing only with a single contractor. So the contractor is responsible to show up, coordinate with the homeowners, obviously with city staff there helping them coordinate, and then actually finish the job completely, do all the restorations on the external portion, on the roadways, and inside the home. The goal this year is to do 300 services, again about 10% of our program. A couple of things in your packet. There is a map you'll see illustrating the areas of lead line replacement this year. Phase 1, there's the Phase 1 and the Phase 2. Phase 1 is areas in red. We'll be targeting those areas first. Those areas are associated with road programs, MFT programs, or other road surfacing programs. Our goal is to replace the lead service lines before the road program comes through and completes patching. Once we're done with that area, which the goal is to be done with those areas by August before the road programs come in and finish their surfacing, we'll be moving on to areas in blue. Some communication. Prior to the construction, we'll be providing kickoff letters and personal visits to each home. We also, once we get through this contracting portion of it, the awarding contract, we plan on setting up a public meeting in the evening, so those areas, those homeowners in those areas can come ask questions, and we can share more details with them directly about the project. City staff, an engineer, and the contractor are working directly with the homeowner. We'll be visiting each house prior to the construction, looking at the site. I know in the past city council meetings, there's been questions about where is the sewer line located versus the water main, or sorry, water service. We'll be looking at that and looking at the layout, make sure we avoid that sanitary main. Actually, state law requires us to be at least 10 feet away. As there is a variance, we can be as close as 2 feet. We'll be working with each homeowner to figure out what's the best path into the home. Also looking inside the home to kind of figure out, what else is in the way. Is the water service behind the corner of the home that's inaccessible? Is there an easier route to come into the home? So we'll be working with each individual homeowner. As a reminder, residents still have the right to not allow us to replace the private side of the service. So each time we visit a home, the city is required to replace the public side, and if they allow us access to replace the private side. There is going to be an agreement with the homeowner to allow us access to the private or into their private property, but they do have that right. If they say they don't want us on their private property, the city will still be replacing the public side of the service line. I think that's all I really have for this evening. I was kind of open up for any questions.
All right, thanks, Tim. Any questions? Yeah.
I got a couple questions. Tim, in regards to the, like this bid sheet, like the unit sheet, could you pull that up?
Yeah.
It's like page 45.
There's about 45 different unit costs.
Yeah, like page 45, item 8, just for example, traffic control and protection. What are they doing for $4,000 per house? I'm just curious, like for something like that, what does that mean?
Well, it'll be usually the goal is for every contract to do a couple services on a block, right? And depending on where, every block's a little different. Depending on where the water main is located, we might shut down the entire road and detour the entire block around that block. usually, like I said, we're going to be trying to do 4 or 5 or 6 or 7 houses at a single time. So that's the whole setup of all the traffic control, following MUTCD. Every setup's going to be a little bit different. But on that line item, you have to at least give something to kind of give the contractors, a pay item. Like I said, there's going to be a little bit different. That's one that's going to be a little bit, there's going to be some flexibility on which one's a little different each time.
So you would mention that the cost could go up to $25,000 per house, but it's probably not going to be that, correct?
Yeah, no, each house is different, right? We're going to have homes that come in under $25,000, but I will say there's going to be homes that also come in above $25,000, depending on the internal furnishings, what we have to work around on the private property. Are there, is there a fancy brick that we have to pull up, a brick walkway? Is there a tree we got to remove? Is there a little more plumbing inside the house that we have to do to, move the service line? That's why we broke it down in such a unit cost so that we can pay for some of these items per linear foot.
And I'm sorry, one more, Chairman. In regards to just receiving one bid, in comparison, I've done a lot of research on other communities, seen multiple, 3 to 4 bids seems like the average, whether it's Highland Park, Naperville, Elgin. Why do you think we only received one bid?
I think there's several factors right now. The time of year, fuel prices, competitive bidding right now. There's a lot of bids that are out. We did have one bidder that the intent was to submit a bid, and they just put it in the wrong location. And then when they're at the pre-bid meeting and seeing, everyone, when they register, they can at least see who's bidding it, seeing who they're bidding against. If they see it as a company they've already lost several bids to, they avoid putting in a bid.
Gotcha. I mean, I'm just going to say, obviously, we have to replace lead line per the mandate from the federal government and the state government. At this juncture, I don't feel comfortable approving this current bid. I would love to see it get rebid. I don't want to see some competition here. At a project like this, $7.6 million, I really think there should be some other bids. So on this item right now, I'm going to vote no because I want it to get rebid.
Any other comments or questions?
Yeah,
Ron.
I'll go. So in the bid process, have we ever considered actually having the contractors who are going to bid go into a typical house and give you an exact price to do it?
In this case, you would have to send an engineer into each individual house and pre-design every engineer house. So what I'd have to do...
I'm not saying each one, I'm just saying one house so you can get an idea of what is it going to cost. Now these houses that you're going to do that's in red, those are typically 2 or 3 bedroom homes. Some of them don't have a basement, some of them do. They're typically pretty close to the same size and same...
That's basically
close to the same. I'm just saying, I'm just throwing that out there. I don't know if it's feasible to do that, but then you'd have an exact cost for at least one house. And
that's
go ahead.
Right, and that's what we did with the estimate, the baseline in the bid format, is just kind of give us a general idea of what a typical house would look like. Again, it's just a general idea with the intent that with the unit cost, everything's going to change. We're actually going to pay them for the service that they provide.
And to Steve's point, I mean, he makes a valid point. We only got one bid, and I'm a little confused as to why. Still, I understand you had the other bid, but they didn't follow through with their, whatever they did wrong on the bid. But other towns got more. I'm not sure. That's why I'm a little leery about it, but I understand this is a one-year contract, correct?
Yep, it's a one-year contract.
It's a one-year contract, so I don't know. I'm going to listen to my colleagues first. Thank you.
I think to Mr. Weber's point, is this less of a bid and more of a, hey, we've budgeted, $7.6 million. They're giving us a forecast of, $21,000 to $25,000 per household. However, it could be higher, right? I mean, we're budgeting $7.6 million to tackle these 2 phases, but for whatever reason, it could be closer to 8. Like, they're not prohibited or capped from being at 7.
No, we capped them. In the bid, we actually capped them to 7.6.
So how does that work if they're giving a range to say it's going to be between 21 and 25, and each project's a little bit different, but they're also capped at 7.6?
Because most of the projects that are coming in are already 25. And if you take 25 times 300 services, we still come underneath our budget of 7.6. We come in about 7.5 something, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Could we have put the bid in? It doesn't matter. So I understand both the points. I think at some point we have to get moving, and if we're going to go back and rebid and start this process over again, I'm sure you're going to start losing, road replacement and time. And part of my concern is just with this whole process of how this project is going to be projected out financially. We're budgeting 7.6, and how this is going to go over the next 10 years. I could see it getting expensive very quickly for all these reasons. But at this point, I think you also have to get moving because time is not on your side.
Ryan.
Thanks, Tim, for your presentation. So the $25,150, that's not a lump sum.
No.
That's all worst case scenarios. Somebody has, I don't know, a massive oak tree you got to work around or something, so therefore it costs more money. It could be 10,000, it can be 15, it could be 30. Is that kind of where we're?
You're correct.
Okay.
You're correct. It's a unit cost bid. It could definitely be under 25,000. When we put the bid out, we have to list out just an example. A service line is 60 foot long. This is your typical items that would be included in that service line. This is items that we think at a very mid-level service line that you would have to include. And that's why you have the top 5 items, 6 items. This is $25,000. So that way, if you had another bidder, I can look at those same 5 or 6 items, comparables, right? Instead of trying to compare all 41 unit cost items, I'm only comparing the 5 or 6 unit cost items. So that way, say, okay, this looks like he's our better bidder per the unit cost.
Okay, and then when it comes to oversight with the work, are we going to have an engineer, a project manager from the city go to each house and have a punch list? What did you do? How are we documenting the work that's being performed on this list?
We're doing both. So we will have a site engineer that'll be evaluating, measuring everything. At the end of the day, the contractor's project manager and the site engineer will agree on quantities. This is typical like we do on any road project. Agree on quantities, agree on what the payout's going to be for that service line, that we can continue to monitor it where we're at throughout the project, make sure we're on pace. Then we also have a city representative too, so that way if the homeowner wants to have or has an issue with what's going out to contract or engineer, then at least have a contact with the city staff that we can help resolve any issues, right? It's always nice to have someone that has a City of St. Charles badge there to have some level of communication. Plus, then we can also help the homeowner understand what the next steps are.
Sure. So to Alderman Weber's point and Sokaitis' point with the one bid, this first one's going to be done in 2 phases. So
2 phases, 1 year.
2 phases, 1 year. So phase 1 is what, 150 homes?
About. So that's going to be the biggest challenge, right? Not every home owner will let us in, right? And we don't know what every homeowner will or will not let us in, so we'll work through that. We'll go through that phase 1, get those all done by August, and then we'll move on to the phase 2 after phase 1 is completed.
Can I ask you this? So when you're working on phase 1, so when you're starting phase 1, right, we're kind of diving in on this. Is there a way we can pause after phase 1, come back to council and say, hey, here's where we're at with the average price per home. This is where we're at budget-wise, so we have an understanding. Is that possible to do that?
I got it. So,
sorry, Peter.
Yeah, no, you're fine. So, what we can do is, I need to award the contract. The contract, I need to award the entire amount, so I can't really stop the contract, right? But what we can do is provide, typical updates. We could provide a city council update as far as where we're at phase one. And the contractor, he may hit this aggressively. He may be done by phase one before the deadline of August. So we have a deadline in the contract, and we can provide that information of where we're at, what those costs are, and what it's looking like, so that way you'll have an idea.
So here's my concern, Tim, is because we only have one bid, right? We're working with one bid up here, and I want to get started with this because the rebid is what, 3 months? Probably to rebid and something like this. And that'll put us in August. So my question is, you're going to start phase one, and I see the map where you have the red and the blue. When you're completed or almost completed with phase one, can you come back to us, and maybe there's something in the contract that says, we're going to review this, we're satisfied with the work or the bid. You know what I'm saying? Like, my concern is, because I'm putting a lot of faith, obviously I trust you guys, this is what you do, but they come back and say every house was $30,000. Sorry, that's the way it is. So I'm going to have like alarm bells going off. So I want to make sure we have safeguards in place if they start phase two, it says, you know what, we're going to hit the pause button, something's off here. I don't know if that's possible.
I would have to rebid the contract.
Okay.
Yeah, we can't, so we have an award amount, with a projected map area, and the award amount is up to not exceeding $7.6 million. So then we would have to basically throw this contract out and rebid the entire thing if we want to split it up in 2 phases. The phase approach was more for timeline, to make sure that we get the service lines done before the road work starts. Right, that's another thing we'll lose if we throw this bid out. We'll lose all that work. We won't be able to get those service lines done before the road work is completed.
So is there like a work performance language in there? But this is something you can come back to us after phase one. You can say, hey, here's where we're at, and give us reports, give us updates. Is that something you can do before? And then let's say we're dissatisfied with the work. Do we have the ability to say, you know what I'm saying? I'm just trying to make sure that
I don't think we have the ability if you're dissatisfied to work, but.
Yeah, I'm pretty confident that any contract that we have, that we build, we have the opportunity to cancel that contract at any time for various reasons. Now, that's probably something that staff is not going to recommend doing. At the end of the day, this year is going to go by in a blip. But what I maybe want to suggest is that, the engineers put this scope together to build, I think, what Alderperson Silkaitis was suggesting. What is the average typical home? And you build that in a model, and that's basically where the bids came out to be this average $25,000, right? That's the average home in this unit. With that amount, knowing that some are going to be higher and some are going to be lower, we're anticipating that we're going to be able to get 300 plus homes done with the amount of budgeted numbers. So I know we only have one bid, but that bid checks against our engineering estimates and our model in the bid. So if, for example, in month one or in 38 days, we're finding that the average is turning out to be $32,000, we're probably going to recommend finishing the contract, but we're not going to get 300 homes done. We're going to get 230 homes done. We're not anticipating that, and I don't want to throw up alarms, but that is certainly going to be part of our evaluation for next year bidding this, and in year 3 bidding this, and it changes the dynamic of our conversation if we really do run into that situation. I will also say that we're behind the 8 ball this year. We've had a really robust budget discussion, and Tim and I in particular and our entire team weren't certain that this thing was going to be funded up until about 2 weeks ago. So I want to bid this project in January so that we get more bidders and we're ahead of that curve. And I'm going to suggest and recommend doing that next year, but that comes with a commitment before our budget process is complete to fund these things. And I'm not certain how that happens, but I think that's an important lesson learned in this year, that we have to bid these things much earlier so that we are ahead of the curve. And that's going to be something to explore for next year.
No, I thank you for the explanation. I just want to make sure we have safeguards in place and guardrails, just because obviously, this is new for us, and that's all. That's my point.
I'd like to make a motion to approve.
Second.
All right, I have a motion by Mark and second by Brian. Do we have any last-minute discussions? All right. All right, let's have a roll call, please.
Bungard.
Yes.
Munns.
Yes.
Spellman.
Yes.
Wirball.
Yes.
Bessner.
Yes.
Weber.
No.
Fulkaida.
Yes.
Folks.
Yes.
All right, that motion passes. Thank you. Wow. And I apologize to Vicki. I forgot to ask her if she had any questions on that. So sorry,
No
sorry,
worries.
Vicki.
You can't hear me anyway, so.
Oh, sorry. All right, 8B, recommendation to approve a resolution, excuse me, awarding the bid for directional boring services to Archon Construction Company, Inc. for an estimated annual amount of $500,000 and 3-year total of $1.5 million.
So this item was explained in fairly good detail about a week ago with some questions that we answered at the podium. We've also provided you some additional information this week. And so I don't have anything else to add, but I'm certainly here for any questions or concerns that you have.
Any other questions? Oh, Jamie.
Thank you so much. I actually have a question for the attorney. I just wanted to know, from the attorney's perspective, were there any concerns with the city's bidding process based on the review of that?
No, so we reviewed the bid process that was followed by Public Works and city staff and confirmed that the process that they followed complied with the statutory requirements to review bids, open bids, and consider bids. In this situation, staff identified 2 responsive bidders, and they selected the lowest bid of the 2 responsive bidders.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, I guess my question is for staff. Do we have to do a 3-year contract? Or can it be, I mean, I know we have it up here as a 3-year, but could it go as a single year instead of a 3-year?
We do not, we are not obligated to do 3 years. So if we have problems with this contract, in year 1, that's our mechanism for coming back and actually doing a rebid if we have to. So we can look at this again next year.
Okay, this is where I'm getting a little confused. So 500 for this in a 3-year total. I feel like we're approving a 3, but we could just approve a 1.
The recommended, the way we put it together, and we bid 3 years on a lot of contracts all the time. That gives staff the ability to move forward with the 3-year contract if all is going good and we have no concern, then we can officially go 3 years without coming back to this body. But if you're saying that you would like to have this reviewed after year 1, we'd be glad to do that.
I'm just wondering with some of what Councilman Warble said last time with what, you know, the money, where some money looked like it was missing, if it would make more sense for us just to approve a 1-year contract instead of the review of the 3 and then have a rebid come back next year.
That's a good point. So I guess you have a 1-year contract, but you bid out again for years 2 and 3. In other words, they're not offered an extension. Is that an opportunity to do that here?
No, we actually bid all 3 years, so the numbers are solid for year 2 and year 3 in the packet that you have in front of you. That doesn't necessarily suggest that we can't come back and bid this again next year if we'd like to.
So we can't just approve year 1. We have to approve this with a 2-year option.
They're options, that's right. And that might be a question for the attorney. I would suggest that you approve what's here and then hold us accountable, me accountable for rebidding this in year 2 if that's the desire of the council.
So my question's for city attorney. Can we approve year 1 and require them to bid out for years 2 and 3?
My understanding of the bid requirement is that it was a 3-year contract. You could reject this. You could reject the resolution, and then staff could come back at a subsequent meeting with a 1-year contract if that's where you're at. The way to accomplish that would be to reject reject the resolution or vote down the resolution that's before you.
So we voted down, but then how do we get it?
What staff would have to, they would bid a one-year contract, they would bring that back.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Any other questions or comments?
Move for approval?
Second.
As is. Okay. We have a motion to approve by Jamie and a second, was it Ed? Any other further discussion? All right, can I have a roll call, please?
Bungard.
Yes.
Munns.
Yes.
Spellman.
Yes.
Wirbel.
No.
Bessner.
Yes.
Weber.
Abstain.
Sulkidis.
No.
Folks.
No.
All right, that's 4-3, so it did pass. All right, so that did pass. Thank you. All right, next, number 9, community development. 9A, presentation of a concept plan for 9th Street Commons. Russ.
Yes, good evening. This is a concept plan for a residential project being presented by Pulte Home Company for the 27-acre property known as the former Applied Composites Industrial Site. A residential project called Lexington Club was approved at this site back in 2013, and the property is currently zoned for residential land uses based on that Lexington plan, which will be part of the presentation. Pulte is proposing a primarily single-family subdivision with street network connected to the neighborhood to the south. The concept proposal generally complies with the city's comprehensive plan land use recommendations, and it aligns with efforts the city's taken over the past 20 years or so to see the underutilized site cleaned up and redeveloped for residential use. The Plan Commission reviewed the concept plan on April 21st. They offered support for the land use and the overall site layout, including the street connections, support for pedestrian connectivity. They offered some suggestions regarding open space, incorporating pedestrian paths in the detention areas along the State Street Creek, preserving high-quality trees, providing landscape buffering. The Plan Commission also expressed support for inclusion of affordable housing units in the project. Some residents from the surrounding neighborhoods spoke at the concept plan meeting and expressed concerns, including the view of the development from the north, the density and traffic impacts, noise, impact on wildlife, and a preference for more open space, as well as potential impact on schools. There's also some discussion about a secondary emergency access, which is now being considered to the west of 12th Street. Regarding the topic of affordable housing, staff encouraged the developer to incorporate affordable units. The developer provided financial information which identified a significant cost gap to provide the on-site affordable units. And this gap is too significant to be covered by any of the city fees that we'll be collecting or any grants that we could offer from our housing fund. And there's really no opportunity with this project to increase the density and still have a single-family development project. So developers instead proposing to pay the full fee in lieu amount. Even without the affordable units included, this project does advance the city's housing goals by adding a significant number of new market rate single-family units to our local housing market in very close proximity to the downtown area. Regarding financial assistance, the site has environmental challenges that previous developers have not been able to overcome. The site was designated as a TIF district back in 2013, and the city approved reimbursing $5.6 million from TIF-eligible development costs that were to include building demolition, site grading, and environmental remediation. It was later determined that amount of assistance was not sufficient for the Lexington project to proceed, and that TIF district was terminated back in 2022. The Pulte project, there will be a request for financial assistance, and it's specifically for extraordinary costs for relocating existing electric distribution lines across the property, which includes some ComEd lines that feed the city's substation and some city lines across the site that are in conflict with the development. The total amount of that assistance is anticipated to be less than $3 million. All of the other development costs will be borne by the developer. That includes the demolition, site work, and environmental remediation. So following the concept plan review tonight, we will work with the developer to determine the form and the structure for this financial assistance, and a TIF district will be considered as one of the options. A reminder, this is a concept plan for feedback only. There's no vote tonight. At the conclusion of tonight's discussion, the applicant can consider what they heard from both the city and the community and decide if and how to proceed. Staff's identified a list of items where we're seeking feedback from the committee. Those include land use, zoning, compatibility with the neighborhood, the subdivision layout, the affordable housing, and the financial assistance that I referred to. And with that, I'll turn the presentation over to Pulte.
Good evening. It's been a year since I've seen everyone, but good to see your smiling faces. For the record, Nick Peppers, Storino, Mellon, Durkin. I'm the attorney for Pulte Home Builders, who's the contract purchaser of this site, as Russ alluded to, the 27 acres. I know it's been a long meeting. I'll try and be brief with my comments to provide some context of why we're here tonight. And then with me also is Matt Brawley, who's the VP of Entitlements for Pulte. He'll walk you through the plan. And then, of course, we're here to seek, we're not going to get a recommendation, but to get any feedback that we can get from you. We appreciate it. And Jim? Yeah. There we go. Okay. Thanks. First, I'd like to thank city planning staff, Ellen, Bruce, Russ. We've met with them. They've helped us navigate to where we are tonight, and also to provide the comprehensive staff report that you have that Russ touched on. It's very thorough, very comprehensive, and I'm not going to go through all the details in it, but he does a good job of laying it out. What I really want to do is just touch on some of the context of this property. I've watched it for many years. Late fallow, a couple developers have come in. None of them have been able to pick it up from where Lexington let off. But I know most of you know who Pulte is, but I'd like to touch on, first of all, they're a publicly traded home building company, third largest builder in the U.S. in Chicago. They've been building homes in Chicagoland since the 1960s, sold over 1,000 homes in 2025, actively selling in 25 different communities throughout Chicagoland, top selling community in Illinois in 5 years running. And they really strive to identify communities in this area that provide them the best opportunity to build the best project. And St. Charles was on their radar with the city and the school district, obviously. So let's go to the site location. Here's the boundary of what we're talking about. This just gives you a sense of the unique outline of what this property is. The green represents the area of the property that is proposed to be redeveloped. As you may recall, or this property was zoned and used industrial for, well, at least as far back as we could see, was 63. It might have been Burgess Norton back in the day, and then it was the composite factory. This is a 2002 aerial of the industrial use that was located on that property. Just gives you a sense of the scope of what was going on out there at that time. Fast forward 2013, as Russ alluded to, Lexington Club came before the city. This was the original plan that was approved. The site was rezoned to residential. It was 130 units, majority of which, not majority, but a good number of which were townhomes to the west, single-family homes to the east. This density at that time was 5.5 dwelling units per acre, and that's going to be important as we migrate through the plan. A couple years later, Lexington decided, you know what, we're going to redo this. We're going to come back through. We're going to make it all single-family homes. This is a plan that was developed. I think it went to Plan Commission. It never went to City Council. I think this plan was well received, and the density for this project at all single-family was 3.91 dwelling units per acre. This is the plan that Pulte took and decided to run forward with the project that you're going to see from Matt. All single-family, except at the northeast corner of the property, there will be 12 townhomes that are being proposed. The new project is 3.85 dwelling units per acre, slightly below what this project had proposed. So over the years, the density has gone down. For context, here's a zoning map. Just to give you an idea of this area, I'm sure you're all familiar with it, but I've got just a myriad of different zonings around the property. This is the current zoning that was from the 2013 plan, with the townhomes to the west, single family to the east. But you can see all the industrial to the immediate south, west, and east. You've got RT3, you've got a little spot of M1 to the south. You've got you got RM2 across the tracks, which is up in the timbers, and RT4 down on Dean Street. or is that State Street? No, I guess that would be Dean Street. So you can see that, you know, this property is really tucked in the middle of a lot of different zoning classifications. This property was rezoned, however, the PUD at that time has expired. So what we'll be seeking from you as part of this going forward is that the line between RT3 and RM2 is going to switch. Most of the project will become single family, and then a little pod up on Mark Street will be the area where the townhomes will go, and Matt can walk through those details with you. As Russ alluded to, this plan that we're going to propose really checks the boxes on the comprehensive plan and what this kind of project is intended to cover. I mean, this is a difficult site. I mean, it's laid fallow for all these years for a reason. But it, you know, it fits within the comprehensive plan. It's got the zoning. It's compatible with surrounding zoning. It's a prioritized infill development of an abandoned manufacturing site. It's a brownfield that avails itself of existing utilities, existing infrastructure, and roadways. This isn't a green field out on the perimeter of the city that needs to be annexed, that's going to have to figure out how to extend utilities and how to work through different points of ingress and egress. As you can see, it's served by many streets, and the city utilities, there were some preliminary studies done. Water and sewer is sufficient to serve this site, and this site will be providing stormwater, and you'll see that on the plan, none of which is provided in this area right now. A definite benefit to the whole area. I'd like to point out that what I heard earlier was interesting, and Russ alluded to it, and I'm going to turn it over to Matt. You know, arguably this is a project that's going to provide 100 and plus units within walking distance of your downtown. And I listened to the Lot 8 discussion and, you know, this catalytic concept of what you would want to see for your downtown. This provides it. I mean, this is almost within walking distance. Maybe if you're fitter than I am, you can do it. But these people will be an injection of a lot of rooftops and residents and residential rooftops pretty close to your downtown. This is an opportunity to take advantage of somebody like Pulte with the financial horsepower and commitment to undertake a site like this. As Russ alluded to, this site was approved with a $5.6 million plus interest TIF to handle the environmental and a lot of the site conditions. Pulte's budgeted to handle the environmental. They'll handle the site conditions. All they're going to be asking for is to work out the financial accommodation with the city to relocate the public overhead utility lines that bisect this site, and that'll be under $3 million. That's a detail that we'll have to work out as we go through the process, assuming we get a favorable response from you. We are cognizant of some of the comments we've heard from the public. The trees on the site, the majority of which are trash trees. The trees that are good on the perimeter of the site or that are in the stormwater areas, to the extent they're good trees, they'll, you know, the developer will strive to keep those, but a lot of the trees are going to come down. Will there be more traffic? Yes, there will be more traffic. We, of course, will do the traffic study, but this is served by 3 or 4 public streets that are built just for this purpose to handle this kind of traffic. As for the timbers, having a concern about the townhomes at the northeast corner of the property and what that will look like, you can understand there's a setback, a rear yard setback from those units. You've got 100 plus feet of railroad right away with a very high grade embankment, and then trees on the other side. Having said that, we will be doing a site study just to see how it looks from the other side so we can have that information when this goes forward. I think those are the comments we had heard, but at this point, I know it's been long, you don't want to hear me talk anymore. I'd like to ask Matt to go through the project, and then, of course, we're here to answer any questions and take any comments you may have. Thank you.
Thanks, Nick. Thank you all. So I'll be brief, but please interrupt me if you have any questions while I'm going. My name is Matt Brawley. I'm Director or VP of Entitlements with Pulte Home Company. This is the first time in front of you all, but we have been working over the last 7 years in 25 different communities in northeastern Illinois. We've definitely had our eye on this site for a number of years. We are under contract to purchase. We're the contract purchaser. We do not own the property as of yet. Assuming that entitlements and zoning approvals happen as planned, we would close early next year. I usually show this I'm a civil engineer if you can't tell.
I usually show this very cool topographic map that shows the 60-foot of fall that goes from the center of the site in red down to the creek that's along our southern border. It just really implies two things, that the stormwater goes down by the creek and that there's a lot of topo for us to work with when we're trying to lay out a residential community. Back to this sheet that you've seen before, really just to highlight the floodplain that's on the site from the creek. The floodplain is largely contained to the creek corridor, so it won't really impact the design of our site in any meaningful way. As Nick and Russ both alluded to, staff recommended that we look at providing a connection to 12th Street on the west. I went out there and walked it, and I think we can find a way to make the grade work. That would be the only concern, is to get an emergency-only fire access to cut from our site over to 12th Street to check that box for the fire department. It brings us to the site plan. So it's a total of 105 units, predominantly 90, single-family detached homes, 93 of them, and then we have the 12 townhomes up on the north side of Mark Street. We do have public roadway connections to 9th Street, I'm going to screw this up now, 7th Street and 6th Street, and Mark Street as well, and then the fire access at the southwest to 12th Street. As far as pedestrian access, we are showing, currently we're showing one access to go up north to what we hope someday is a trail on the railroad line there. One pedestrian connection to the park just to our south, and then staff has asked that we look at doing improving the gravel park, or the gravel trail that runs basically from 12th Street, from 12th Street, sort of along the creek all the way to the end of our site here. The survey is out getting topo right now to see if we can make that happen. We would present something at our preliminary on that, but we're hopeful there. Moving into the homes that we plan to offer, so we'll have 4 different series of homes that we'll offer on the site. What's a bit unique, obviously we have the townhomes down at the south. I guess I'll start at the bottom. That's our Isleton floor plan, 2,300 square foot base, 3-bedroom, 2.5 bath. Many of these have ranges for the houses. That's based on buyer preference, buyer options. We don't spec our homes. Buyer comes in, they choose the home that they would like, any structural options that they want to include that fit their family, which could include a sunroom, garage extensions. Depending on the floor plan, there's different options available. What's key for this is the townhomes generally offer a habitable loft. We don't call that a third story. It's a habitable loft. It's a very unique feature that we have in this marketplace. You can check out at some of our other communities. That's an additional square footage up on the built out in the attic for you to utilize. You can also add a bedroom and a bath up there if you need to. Moving up the page, we have our 40-foot ranch series. That's our single family. Those are our Del Webb, 2 of our popular Del Webb floor plans. I just have the base square footage on there, but all of those come with the option, what we call the pop top, to add a second floor loft to the ranch. Either it's just open space to utilize, or you can build that out with a bedroom and a bath in that as well. The buyer for those that we anticipate would predominantly be folks that are looking to downsize into the community, or those who are looking for single-story living. Moving up to our 35-foot wide series, so getting a little bit narrower, we have our boardwalk and our Woodward. These are 2 floor plans that we're actually offering for sale right now downriver in Batavia. It's slightly narrow, so it's meant for a little bit more unique setting. It's really typically we do a lot of 40s and 50s, but that 30-foot wide product we found to be very popular. We've built it in a few communities in Chicagoland. And then the final one is a 30-foot series, which is the most affordable, price conscious of the ones that we are going to offer. That's the Nelson and the Rybrook. We are building those in a few other communities in Chicagoland right now, and those will be 3-bedroom base. Sticking on the townhomes, this is the rendering of the front elevation of the townhomes. These are garage front townhomes. We do have a version of this with the garage rear, but what's not shown here is the loft. But you can see the predominant building material in the front would be brick, and the siding, we've gone with a dark trim color here that's very popular. I'd love to hear your feedback on that as well, but we're getting a lot of requests from buyers to do this color scheme. Next, we have our Nelson floor plan. That's a 30-foot series. This is the model that we currently have at Polo Club in Naperville. You can again see as you'll see with all three of these single-family, we chose the exact same color package, which we wouldn't do here. But at any rate, you can see the Nelson floor plan and the architectural detail that we offer on the front of that. The 35-foot, this is the Ashton Ridge model that we currently have. We do have a little bit of masonry wainscot on the front of that, but then the same architectural detail with the shake and horizontal siding, window trim, window grids, frieze board, band board, really an attractive elevation. And then lastly, we have our 40-foot range series. This is one of the models that we have at our Del Webb on the south side of Aurora. Proven to be very popular. This one has a full front porch on it that you can chill on. One thing I did want to say about the site plan is that something unique that we're doing here that we don't typically do is all of these floor plans are interspersed throughout the community. So the 93 single-family homes are, let's say, 40, 40, and 30 of all of these, and they're spread out. And the whole purpose of that is really to mimic that of an established downtown. Not every home is the same width. Not every lot is the same width. So we're hoping to kind of feather into the community a little bit better than maybe having different pods of developments like you've seen in some of our other communities. We would hope to model and grand open. Actually, after tonight, we'll probably change the name from 9th Street and have everything come off of 7th Street here with our model court right up there. That's it.
Thank you. All right. Any start? Do you want to just start down here?
Sure.
Let's go with
Sounds good to me. Thank you for the presentation. I guess one issue that I do want to bring up is the affordable housing.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'm looking on page, well, at least on my screen, it's page 62, which is item number 6A, inclusionary housing. Okay. So you're asking for $3 million, correct? Is that the want?
Yes.
Okay. So if we're going to give you $3 million, I would expect to have affordable housing on site. That's something that I think is necessary for a big development like this. We are running out of locations to put actual units. And since we're contemplating giving you $3 million, I think it's only fair that you build the units on site and somehow make it work, or else I'd have a problem supporting this project just because of that.
Yeah, just for a point of clarification, because I know there's a $3 million figure in there in a couple locations, because there is the cost gap that we calculated for providing the affordable units, and that's the price difference between the market rate versus the affordable price. And then the other less than $3 million is the estimate for the financial assistance for the electric relocation. So
I understand,
just to clarify that.
Oh, thank you. No, I appreciate what you're saying. It's just that we're running out of sites like this to develop, and I think it's important that we have, instead of taking money, which is nice, it doesn't fulfill our obligation to get to the 10% that the state of Illinois wants us to achieve by 2028. So I would like to see affordable housing put in this project. That's all I have for now. Thank you.
Yeah, I love the idea. I really do. I think it'd be great. I think it'd be great for the city. My concern is the traffic, and I know what Mr. Pepper said around that traffic. I know preschool. Well, I don't know if the preschool is still technically at St. Pat's there anymore. I mean, I know that's where I went to grade school. I know how crowded that can get, and now I'm thinking of the traffic with those cars coming into. So what's kind of the answer for that? How are we going to make the residents who have been established there for years feel comfortable knowing that, hey, this is going in, and the safety of their kids and their families is still a main priority of both of them.
Yeah, I'd love to address the first two comments from both of you if I can. I'll touch on yours first. So obviously we'll do the traffic study. I know that the industrial use on the site has been vacant so long that I think everyone in this room would acknowledge that the status quo is nothing's on that site. But prior to 2002, there was, I would assume, a decent amount of industrial activity on these roads. One thing that we've done and Lexington did is we have 4 different roadway connections to the site, plus the emergency access, so that's essentially 5 access points. That's 3 more than are required by code. The hope is that those spread out the traffic that come out of this community during peak. So really you're looking at your residential peak. You'll have a peak hour in the morning, a peak in the afternoon. The only thing I have right now is traffic trip generations for the total project. We haven't run a full traffic study, but if you guys wanted or if staff asked, we would look at nearby intersections that could utilize stop signs, pavement striping, anything like that that would ensure safety for children walking to school. The other thing too is on-street parking. There's a tremendous amount of on-street parking on 9th, 7th, and to a lesser extent 6th currently of vehicles that I think we need to address with the development.
I mean, that's where my concern lies. I mean, I just look at it like, I mean, those roads they're pretty narrow, and I just want to make sure the safety of people, and I understand what you're saying with stop signs and that, and maybe that's a start, but there's not a lot of, like, gateway roads that get to lights, unfortunately, because of where it is. And I think that is a big safety concern because, I mean, there's areas at Dean Street driving it that, you come whipping around. You never know who's come whipping around the other end either. And we all know, unfortunately, and our police does a wonderful job, that we've all had traffic and speeding concerns in town. And that is my fear that all of a sudden it ramps up here. That is my concern. But in terms of your design of your homes and the thought through it, that is something that is greatly appreciated. So I'm I'd love to see what the traffic study is going to say, and if there is some major issues that do pop, what your recommendations will be to help counter those problems. Thank you.
I might have missed this. What is the average, or what is the cost range for the different units?
Sure. Right now, our estimates are that the townhomes will start at $530. It just goes up from there. The 30-foot wide series would be high $5s, $635 for the highest one.
For the highest is $635.
That's our base, the base price. We would hope with options, so buyer selected options, that it would grow from there.
Okay. I think the use of the space it's great. I mean, it's infill. This chunk of land has been, envisioned for the last 10 years to be residential. I think you're going to hear a lot of the comments about, traffic patterns, impact on utilities, and I think they're all valid. It's going to be part of the process of working through it. I think the potential impact to your downtown footprint, to reimagining kind of this side of the river to the 4th Ward, if you don't do this, what else are you doing? The density, I think you're going to hear people say, I'd love it if it was a little bit smaller, the units. I like the initial concept. I think it's a good use for the space. I think when we talk about affordability and you're looking at some of the potential developments that are being put out there, just trying to imagine, you guys are the subject matter experts, you guys are in the space, recognizing, how quickly it's going to be to realize, finding people able to move in to buy their, a brand new house at, $600,000-$700,000 that's going in these spaces. So, but, high level, I like the concept. I'm encouraged. I hope that it moves along.
Thank you. Thanks so much for this. I absolutely appreciate, I sat through the Plan Commission meeting. I appreciate all the comments that I heard from residents, and I understand the concerns about impact on the neighborhood. I appreciate that you've taken care to try and look at the lot sizes and make make special considerations for what that looks like in the neighborhood. I don't think every developer does that. I like that you've tried to find some ways to make the neighborhood look historic, even though it isn't historic. I think that's appreciated. This is a difficult site. It requires a lot of remediation. It isn't a place that we can do anything with unless remediation happens, and I know that's expensive. So I understand that is why you have to have the density that you have. And this may not be a popular question, but I guess I am curious why you haven't chosen to do more townhomes, to add that density, to perhaps, I guess, increase your return so that perhaps you could do some affordable housing in that area. Because I'm a big fan of walkable communities, and this is exactly what we would look for. You know, you have pedestrian access. You've really created a place where hopefully one day we will have that rail line, which will have some biking available for us, biking and walking. So I guess I'm just curious why you didn't want to maximize that in a little bit.
I would say big picture for us is that we do visualize this more as a single-family development, a single-family neighborhood. It lends itself more to that as opposed to a townhome community. Okay. To be frank, the 12 townhomes on the east are enough to help this thing, pencil, to help it work. To make that space something that we can utilize. If you look at the past 2 Lexington plans, it was just nothing. Yeah. The grade does slough off pretty quickly there, so those are expensive 12 homes to build. But we thought long and hard about extending the townhomes out and really feel like the rest of it being single family is really what meshes with the neighborhood.
Yeah, and I appreciate also that you've got some of the homes that you use in Del Webb where it can be places for people to downsize. The price point makes that a little hard to say. But I do appreciate that there's single level or can be single level, and that's something we are really looking for in this city. So I think as a whole, I appreciate the care that you've put into this and what you've tried to plan out here. So overall, I'm supportive of it. I think there's just some things that we need to talk about to figure out, but I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Do you want to get Vicki?
Oh, yeah, sorry. Keep forgetting.
Don't forget about Vicki.
Thank you.
Don't forget about
Vicki, do you have any comments?
Thank you, David. Can you hear me okay this time?
Yes.
Sure. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. Well, thank you for the presentation, and I concur with much of what Alderman Munns just said. I really appreciate that we have a plan for this space that requires a great deal of remediation, and I know not any builder can come in and do what you're doing. So I'm very supportive of this plan and happy to see this residential development going in so close to downtown. It's infill. It doesn't require a great deal of additional infrastructure, as was said. And I also feel like Pulte is listening to the feedback and taking that into consideration. So really pleased about that. I would just say I agree with all of the comments that staff put into the concept plan with regard to pedestrian pathways and trees, landscape buffering. I know some residents are concerned. We heard today some comments about the height, and I think you said you'll be providing elevations from outside. And it'll be helpful to see, how those townhomes look and how homes look outside the development. If you could help us appreciate that. Question: how long? When do you suppose you would break ground, and when would the first homes be ready for occupancy?
That's a good question. If everything goes according to plan, we'll close in April of 27. That would put us grand opening towards the end of 2027. First residents we anticipate moving in January of 28. And our last residents would be about 18 months later if everything goes as planned. So depending on how you look at it, quick and long.
Quick and long. Okay, that's really all I had. Thank you. Very supportive.
Thanks, Vicki.
Thank you for your presentation. So I'll just kind of go down the list here. So as far as the land use, I'm good with it. The zoning, I'm good with it. The layout, I like. My question is with 12th Street, is there a reason why it can't be a regular access point in and out? Why does it have to just be an emergency access point?
So we've looked at that. From this, if you can see the cursor, from this point right here up into what we need grade at on the site, the 60 foot of fall, we have, it's about 15 feet, I think, 15 or 20 foot of increase. So you're looking at about a 10% slope. So that does qualify for a fire route. It probably allowed for a road. The 60 foot right of way width, or a 66, would go right into the floodplain adjacent to the creek down there as well. So this gets a little tight in here to develop and build the whole thing.
Okay.
It's tough.
So you're saying it would have to stay emergency? Really, that's
where we see it. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Trees, preserving as many trees as you possibly can. You already spoke to that. The traffic study is important. I think with the amount of density there, I would like to know how you will address the adjacent, because when you have all those cars, they're going to impact the adjacent established neighborhood. So I want to know what is the plan outside of the development with stop signs, no parking, crosswalks, to address those issues, especially when you go 9th and State. It's pretty busy over there, that intersection right there. So I would like you to expand outside of that and kind of have with your traffic study to mitigate any safety issues there. As far as the affordable housing piece, I'm on a different wavelength with that. I represent the 4th Ward, and we have a lot of tear downs going on year over year of affordable homes. So I can't sit here and try and compel you to build affordable housing while in the same line allow homes to be torn down in the 4th Ward that are already affordable. So as far as I'm concerned, I'm okay with you not having affordable housing here and paying the fee in lieu until we change the formula to what's going on with our tear downs. I'm not against them. I just think the formula needs to change with that in the 4th Ward. Let's see. The townhouses, I like them. I like where you have them. I think that'll create some synergy over there. I think that's a great spot to put them. Let me think. Anything else here? So you have you've got Mark Street, 6th Street, 9th Street. Are those your entry points?
And 7th.
And 7th Street, okay. All right, yeah. Overall, I'm fine with it. I like the design of the homes, and I like that you have different options with ranches. Maybe seniors would like that as an option as well. So overall, I'm very supportive of it.
Cool.
Thank you. Excuse me. Thank you for your presentation. I'll repeat some of the things our colleague said. I like the plan. I like the presentation. I like the architectural styles, et cetera. Mm-hmm. We did have a plan, as you've stated or showed earlier, back in 2013. And the one thing I'll bring up about it, it was similar housing development plan, but it was a 5-5 tie, and I think our mayor back then, Don DeWitt, cast the deciding vote. So it was a little contentious at the time. But I bring it up because two of the points I had back then were, one, it was approved as our first pay-as-you-go tip, so I'm hoping whatever financial assistance we go down that same path. And then two, the other point was in regards to the remediation of the property. So I know you just stated that you would close about a year from now in April, you're saying?
Yes.
You will have no access to the property prior to that?
No, we currently have access.
Oh, you do? Okay. Yeah. My question is, how soon, outside of the environmental remediation of soils and that, how soon can that property get cleaned up of all the debris that are on there? That's my main concern, because there are homes, if you take, some of you probably been over there, where you sit on the porch and that's all you see. And back then, that was my main concern. That's my main concern now.
So outside of the contamination, you're talking about?
Yeah, I mean, you have to get
debris.
to that point, but to make it, where people could see something other than fencing and chunks of cement or whatever else they have all over that place?
So if we close on schedule, which would be April of 27, we would pave by mid to late July, depending on weather, of 27 of next year. We would probably pave a good chunk of it in the first year and then pave the rest of it the next year. But we would do all of our mass earthwork at the same time. This thing would be totally, there's a lot of concrete to remove.
Yes.
All of that would be removed in summer of next year.
Yeah, excuse me, I'm sorry. You sounded like you had a quick timeline, so that's appreciative.
Yeah, we worked pretty quickly. Also, you know, folks are going to come here to buy their forever home, hopefully. So our goal is to have a site look nice before they show up in October.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, last one. Thank you, Matt, for coming here. Last time we had heard your name in Pulte, I think you were trying to annex like 975 acres out west. And that
I don't remember any of that.
That didn't work out.
Yeah.
But I'm glad you came back. I'm glad you came. I love everything about the land use. I love everything about the zoning. I love everything about the project. The only one thing that I wish we could find a way to figure out, although you mentioned Alderman Warball, maybe it's not possible, but I would love to find a way to get to 12th or Dean so people can exit and get to Randall. That's the only thing that's the only knock that I give on the project. As far as the affordable housing, I mean, if the option is to pay fee in lieu, and that's an option that we do have, which we do have, I'm fine with it. Yeah, I just wish that, you know, when Applied Materials was there and the other company before, there was hundreds of employees on this site before. So there was cars all over the place at one point in time. So I feel like, yes, it's going to be denser, there's going to be more people there, but at the end of the day, this is needed in this location. This is the perfect thing for this location, so I support it wholeheartedly. Thank you.
From myself as well, I'll just say I do support it as well. I think it's a good use. I just had a quick question. This thing here, what on the northwest? And I can't really zoom in. There's a little. What's that little narrow? What is that?
It's going away. We provided a stub to the city's property here.
Oh, got
the
it.
staff indicated is not necessary.
Okay.
So we just pulled that from the Lexington plan.
I was just curious about that. And then, so I agree with my colleagues. It sounds like you have some positive news from us. As you know, again, I support this in general as well. Certainly, I think traffic will be studied, as you said. It will. Steve makes a great point too. I mean, if there's, I don't know if there's any way that we can. That's a good point to connect to Randall, because it's a massive. Large street, and so we could, it would help with dumping out that traffic, I would imagine. But the financial incentives, though, so as of right now, your request, you just want us to consider just relocating the utilities. Is that it?
Yeah. So we have everything budgeted. The only ask really is there's City Electric and ComEd Electric. That if I could talk to the guy who granted the easement way back when to run it right in the middle of the site, I'd like to ask a few questions. But the idea is that we have preliminary costs of $2.6 million, so under 3, that we do not have a budget for. Mm-hmm. So we were able to swallow a lot of the other things that Lexington was getting reimbursed for before, but we can't fit it all in and still sell these for what we think the market can endure.
Okay. And then maybe this is a question for Russ. So the ComEd, we wouldn't have to move ComEd then. They do that, or do we have to do that?
Yeah, I mean, it's really just a cost issue, not necessarily who does it, but typically because it's a development-related cost, it's something that would be a developer expense typically.
Got it. Okay. And then there is the possibility of a TIF, correct, as you said in your presentation, that we could consider one?
Yes, we look at other potential models to provide the incentive. A TIF has been used in the past, so it's an option we would look at again because the site qualified, and we think the ask will be a lesser amount.
We just got rid of one over there. Actually, yeah, go ahead.
We did, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I just have one quick added question. There was a public comment question that related to the elevation and something about floating balloon to get to see the height.
Second time I've ever heard that.
So I'm just curious, is that something that we can do to accommodate that request, or?
I'm pretty sure I'm not qualified to fly a balloon, but what I planned on doing was a cross-section of our building, render their building, so you can kind of see the elevation difference, because I think there is a pretty decent elevation difference, and when you look at the tree cover between the two, I was going to look at that.
Yeah, I just think it would be a good idea to try and work with the community that is going to be impacted by this, to show them what they're looking for and see if we can help them visualize. I'm terrible at visualizing things about that, so I appreciate that question they asked.
Yeah, and thanks for bringing that up. I was going to suggest that too. I mean, we had guests this evening make comments. I mean, I think that is important too. You said you've been in touch with the residents, or had any, or I don't know, Nick, or did you allude that you heard them? You mentioned, okay, so you're listening to them, so that's good.
We heard those.
Got it. Okay. So yeah, I would just as a elected official in the city, just to dovetail with Jamie's comments, just obviously continue to listen, thank you, and then also if there's opportunities to connect with them, that would be great too, to answer their thoughts. I mean, there are established neighborhoods there, and it's a unique site. It needs to be filled. It's completely within our comprehensive plan to do infill, which I support that, but there will be probably some uncomfortable times, with construction and things like, so it's just good to have, this, to just have that great relationship with them. And, and I appreciate that you're also taking on the environmental, I was not here, but Ed, you mentioned that. I mean, that was a big deal, right?
Back then, for sure.
So that's, appreciate that too, so. Those are my comments. Do you feel you have what you need from us?
100%, okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Cool, thank you.
Thanks so much.
All right. So item 10, the police department, 10A, recommendation to approve a resolution for the one-year contract and license agreement with AID Association for Individual Development.
Good evening.
We can hear you, Chief.
Yeah.
Can you hear me now? That better? Okay.
Yep.
I stand before you this evening asking for a resolution for a one-year contract with AID. As most of you know, the police department has had a long-standing relationship with AID, and we seek to continue that. The pricing did go up slightly from $80,000 to $85,000, and we are seeking reimbursement of that funding. We have applied for a grant through the 708 board, and we're hoping to hear back from them soon on whether we will be receiving that money. Just one statistic I'll throw out to you. Last year, 588 client referrals came through the social worker at the PD. It's a great relationship, and we look to continue that for the next year. We will be providing office space, access to our printer, and that is what that agreement is for.
Is that grant pretty consistent from the 708 board?
So this year we did ask for a little bit money. Last year we had asked for $80,000. They gave us just over $73,000. We actually asked for a little bit over $85,000 this year. My thought process, simply put, is personnel is great. It's fantastic, but I want to support that person, the social worker specifically, to give her some ability. When I found out that she was paying for stuff out of her pocket, when she was giving people a ride in her own car, so that would allow her to, hire an Uber, get a couple hotel vouchers, some meal cards. So we did ask for just slightly a little bit more money outside just the personnel cost.
Thank you.
Move for approval.
I'll second.
Okay, I got a motion from Brian and I'll say a second from Ryan.
Thanks,
Brian and Ryan.
There you go.
All right, any final discussions or comments? All right, can I have a roll call, please?
Bungard.
Yes.
Munns.
Yes.
Spellman.
Yes.
Warble.
Yes.
Bessner.
Yes.
Weber.
Yes.
Fulkitis.
Yes.
Folks.
Yes.
Great, that motion passes.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, on to number 11. This is public comment. This is the comment period that's open to any topic. Does anyone wish to speak? All right. Oh, sir. Just please state your name.
Well, I'll explain. Hi, my name is Don Luizzo. I'm with Archon Construction, and I just wanted to take this opportunity to introduce myself. We've been in business since 1977. We're out of Addison, and we've had a working relationship with the electrical department for over 15 years, and it's been a good one. So I didn't know if anybody knew who we were, but I just wanted to come up and introduce myself. So thank you.
Anyone else? All right, any additional items from the mayor, council, or staff? None? All right, we don't have an executive session, so I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So move.
Second.
Do I need a roll call for this typically?
You can
All
take-
those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, the motion carries, we're adjourned.